Welcome back to the channel, my friends. In this video, we are going to be talking with Dawg, who's an OG member from the community, and we are going to be talking everything business credit funding with a recent strategy that he happened to stumble upon and is having great success with. Now, we've actually branched out and broken out this strategy and added it to the membership. If you are a member, great, you're going to have access to that in the Master the Credit Game program. But even if you're not, it's all good because in this video, you're going to piece together exactly what he's doing. This is essentially an alternate strategy that happened out of the tail end of the banks tightening up in Q3 of 2023. So anyways, let's dive into the video now. Joined today by Dawg, OG in the community, and definitely a guy that I think has taken a couple of the core concepts that has been discussed now over the years in the community, taking things bureau by bureau, the importance of business credit, obviously that being the finish line and building a real business that can tap into this credit funding. And I think has obviously shared some phenomenal tidbits that you guys probably have now seen and digested on, many videos that we've shared over the years. There's probably only one or two people that have shared more information with me than Dawg. So you guys have gone through a lot of his information, whether you realize it or not. So what I wanted to talk about and go through is I wanted to kind of breeze through the business credit, and then maybe if you're down to talk about some of it, talk about what the next step is and what you're gearing up for now, if that's cool.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, sir.
Sweet. All right, so let's start at the beginning, because I don't remember now, because it all kind of blurs after a while, because I know that there was Synovus and Truist, but do you want to give me just let's go through a quick version of which ones came first and what sort of happened first. There was like this pivot where you'd realize that you had enough personal credit and it was really time to tackle business credit. And was that Synovus and Truist, or was it before then?
That was when I really started concentrating on business credit. Was like October of last year, and I started positioning myself to go after business credit harder.
Nice. And so walk us through that. What came first? Do you remember any of those limits? Otherwise, because I'm gonna have to reference that video.
Do
you remember that?
Off of memory, but I'd already had one credit card. I'd had two personal cards and one business card with Truist, and I went back and I've got it
in front of me. I've got it in front of me too, by the way. I found my notes. Do you want me to share, or do you want to talk through it?
Yeah, you can go ahead. You can cover that if you want to.
Okay. All right.
I don't remember.
Just because I got the notes, and maybe this will draw up your memory. So yeah, the video that you'll be able to find us in on the channel it's either going to be 90K in fresh credit or something about Truist and Synovus, however you want to say it. So there was the 18,000 personal Truist. That was the third personal card. Then there was 18,000 personal Synovus. That was the first personal card there. Then 25K business Truist. That was the second business card. And then 32K business Synovus, and that was the first business card. All those cards, 4 cards, 2 hard pulls, basically on those two banks, 4 cards.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and, sweet. So that was the start of it. You got the bug, and you're like, whoa, maybe I need to put my focus here. Hey.
Yeah, well, it went so well with just 2 pulls that I said, well, shoot, and I'd also, my business was at the time, it was still during my second year, and I knew the majority of the B-Lock you go after, business lines of credit you go after, required 2 years tax returns and all that other stuff. So I started gardening and getting in position. And what I mean by that is I started setting up business accounts with a lot of different institutions and getting my bank rating up to a high 5 across the board with them.
Which a high 5, in case you're listening, is just 10,000 and above. Isn't it? No, sorry, that's low 5. High 5 is 100,000 and above.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my brain skipped there for a second.
Well, and
how many banks did you do that with?
I've got accounts with Truist, Wells Fargo, still with Wells Fargo, even though I'm not real happy with Wells. Chase, Bank of America, PNC, U.S. Bank, and BMO Harris.
7. Nice.
Yeah, that's not counting the credit unions. That's going to be the second.
Got it. Yeah, well, let's stick with the business stuff. Which again, guys, just to chime in here, is we talk a lot about this. When you're gardening, don't just garden. Don't just sit around and do nothing. Build these relationships and start to build up deposit accounts and transactional history with these banks. Like, stuff works And with these interest rates and what it's looking like for the rest of the year, it's only going to get more important to do stuff like that.
And it's been so far. I can say that it's been effective. Everywhere I've went, I'm not to 100 different places. I'm not shotgunned anything. I've been taking a measured approach. Everything that I've went after. If I started off going back after Equifax, I got a credit limit increase from Synovus, and then I went after Chase, BOA, and then here recently this past week, actually on Monday, I went after GM business credit card.
Saw that.
I just basically got bored.
All right, so let's cover those real quick. Chase was 51K because that came after Synovus gave you 50K bump, right? So then we got Chase at 51K. Bank of America was what, 40?
42.
42. And then do we get any other BLOCs on those two banks? I know you were pushing for those. Did those go through?
I got 230 from Chase.
That's right.
And I got 150 from Bank of America.
Dang, not bad. So we're like over 350, 360 in just like the last month.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, and then you did the GM was 40. You just did that. Cool. So I like this. And so there's a bigger plan. And again, I want to talk about that in a sec. But what's like the next? Are you going after any more cards before this, or you said you're trying to get to 1 million? What else you got in mind to get to that number?
Well, I went ahead. I'm wiping all of the business inquiries, and one thing that I've noticed during this course that after you wipe inquiries, it's better to wait at least 30 to 60 days before you go back, have them pull your credit again, because there's still remnants floating out there of that hard pull, even though you wiped it. But after it cycles through, I haven't had any more issues. Case in point, the GM credit card was Equifax, same as the Synovus, and no issues.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think the remnants is really just like, these second tier, third tier bureaus that kind of kick around this data for far longer than they should. And then by the time they update, it takes weeks, if not months, for them to update, and then it's gone.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. So what else do you got on the agenda to get to the million? You have that all mapped out yet, or no?
I don't have it all mapped out. I forgot. Wells Fargo came back after I had words with them. They bumped the credit card up to 30,000 to match the BLOC with Wells Fargo. So I got 30,000 on each one of those as well.
So you got a 30K card and a 30K BLOC?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty low, though. I mean, people are hearing this and they're probably like, oh, be grateful. That's a large amount. It is. If you knew how much money was being processed to these accounts, though, and the deposits, you'd be like, that's actually kind of low, because it is. Again, remember, high five is over 100,000 in deposits, and then there's action besides that. The 100 is like staying almost static as a deposit, just sitting there, while there's a bunch more in and out. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in transactions. To only get a 30K BLOC is like, what? It's almost like not even worth it.
Yes, that's where I'm at. I've since started diverting my funds. I've already started diverting the funds in which Wells was actually my main account, and it was actually my largest account, or the largest holding. But I've started diverting funds from it, start going to the credit unions to build those.
Was that one of your original processing accounts for the business? If so, how long have you had that account? Do you remember?
I've had it for over 2 years.
That is crazy. Then that's a really low amount. If we're looking at Chase, who you just started to do business with, giving you 230, and we're looking at Wells Fargo, who we've processed with since like the beginning. We've processed now millions of dollars to this bank that give us 30. No thanks.
And the reasoning is because I had too many new open accounts.
But too much credit.
Yeah,
got it. So you're going to divert that cash flow to credit unions? Are you going to push for business on the credit unions too?
I am.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, that's definitely more hit or miss, is whether the credit union even deals with business, and then you're going to have a lot more like geo-locked type credit union on the business side, because obviously they want to inject cash into their local communities. So if you're listening to this, then just understand that your best bet is going to be the local community banks that you can go into, because otherwise you'll probably have some sort of issue to where they're essentially trying to push you away, and it's going to be masked as like geofencing or whatever, something like that. They're just going to keep asking for more information. It's really just because they don't want to give you funding because you're not local. That's all that is.
And that's one reason why I opened up 5 new credit union accounts. They were all local.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got Delta Community. It's Georgia based. Robbins Financial Credit Union. It's Georgia based. Peach State Federal Credit Union. Associated Credit Union. And
nice. I've heard of Associated.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
GTE.
I think I've heard of that one too. Yeah, it's interesting. I was recently in Tennessee, and I saw literally like almost a dozen credit unions that I'd never heard of. I was like, oh my God, this market is still so ripe, dude. You see videos floating around YouTube on like the same 5 credit unions. And it's like, dude, there's so many. There's thousands. Crazy.
And it doesn't take as much money in a credit union and what I'm getting at, if somebody's out there and they're trying to build business credit, it doesn't take as much money to get their attention, let me say, as far as holding a deposit for 90 days for your bank rating with a credit union as it does the national and regional banks. $30,000, and hell, they pretty much, $30,000 to a small credit union or local credit union is a lot of money.
Yeah, true. And, I'll take this out of the GW playbook is, a lot of times the issue that he runs into, and I think you're going to run into this issue at some point, is they ask him, why do you want more credit? Why do you want to do business with our bank? And he tells them all that, like, I want to get something in return. If I'm going to deposit my money, because again, he knows the value he brings. So he basically says it like this: if I'm going to deposit money into your bank, whether it's 30, 50, 100K, and then I'm going to set up some CD ladders and I'm going to invest in you, I want investment back too. You got to, it's kind of like, and simply put, I'm going to scratch your back, you scratch mine as well. I'm going to do business with you. I want something in return. I'm going to give you value, you give me value back. And he has no problem with saying that straight up to credit unions and smaller institutions. And I don't think he's ever had blowback on that. Like after he says it like that, they all kind of get it. And then that kind of ends that line of questioning. So if you're, again, listening to this and you're dealing with that issue yourself because you have a larger amount of, credit funding, then there's your answer right there. And that should be the truth though. Like, don't just say that to get around it. You should be operating with that ethos. Is that like, that's how you should be thinking about your money at this point, is that if I'm going to, put my money in, then I want something out in return. Right.
Exactly. I mean, your deposit means as much, if not more, to the institution, because they can lend out up to 10 times the amount that you got in there.
Yeah. And at the local small bank level, that means so much more than, a Chase. Like, yeah, it affects a Chase, but the local bank, it affects them way more than you realize. So a little bit goes a long way. That's a really great point. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So on that front, do you want to talk anything about like the play and the plan of what you want to do? Because I know that you shared some of it in the Discord, but you want to talk through that or no?
Yes, I'll be going after PNC, go another round after US Bank and BMO Harris, and in the near future. It'll probably be another 30 days or so, and then I'll start cycling back through.
Okay, I like that.
And then I'll go back to Truist and go for CLIs and go ahead and get a B-lock with them as well.
Yeah, that's right, because that was October, so we're like way over 6 months, so we're like good to go.
Yeah,
good to go on that. And what's the plan? You mentioned buying some more land.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy some. There's some land next to the shop I opened, and I'm gonna buy a couple of lots. And I'm thinking about building basically just building an office building. Just buy the land and building it myself, because that's kind of like what we do,
Yeah. So it'd be for your operations, or are you just looking to?
No, I'm looking for to lease out office.
Oh, nice,
That's
nice. Yeah, I
one.
like
That's one thing that I've in the area that I opened up this business. That's one of the things that when I was looking for the building that I'm in now, there wasn't a lot of inventory as far as office, just even renting an office, let alone anything else. So, um,
Yeah, got it. So how do you have any idea of how you plan on kind of leveraging? So clearly, a lot of the credit funding, you're going to be pulling that out, especially the BLOCs. That'll be easy. You're pulling that out for what, down payment on the land, or to finance the build itself, or both?
well, that's something I was talking to the guys about in Discord. I, I'm going to try to get the land and everything. I'm just going to try to pay cash for it, and then the B locks, I'll probably use it for inventory, that and the credit cards, for material wise. I try to stick. I don't like interest at all.
Yeah,
Uh, and I'm sure somewhere down the line, along the line, I'll end up back having to uh, use the credits in the traditional manner. But for right now, I don't have to. And as long as I can, I'm going to try to keep away from actually having to use the credit in a way that's going to result in interest charges.
yeah, and of course, having it there as float is going to be nice too. But I would, at minimum, agree that like buy the land with cash always.
Yes. Another thing that I was telling the guys, I said, a lot of these credit cards, I've got 12 to 18 months, 0% interest. And what I'm going to do, that I'm just going to use it to pay my bills with. And I'm going to show larger deposits in the banks, your credit unions and everything else, just for a never ending cycle. I mean, you can cycle this as many times as you want to. Um,
Yeah, I agree with that. And just to jump in, is I think this is a play that a lot of people miss and they don't leverage this right. And then they run out of runway where the money, if they would have just cycled the money instead, they would have ended up with more. Case in point is I literally was just talking to somebody doing a consult a couple weeks ago, and they went and blew their cash reserves and started putting limits on cards instead of doing what they should have been doing, which is floating that money to spin up more credit funding to look more attractive to the banks, building a more solid base. So it's like you can just go out and take this one layer deep, and then whatever you got 0% for 12 or 18 months, or you got some crazy low rate on a BLOC or something, and you go use that, and then obviously you got to figure out how to pay that back, whatever. Or you can pull that cash out and start to cycle it in other places, cycle it in bank deposits, moving it around, ACHing all over the place so that you're building up this transactional history. You can take that as many layers deep as you want to then build up a deeper relationship with these banks. I think that's more valuable personally.
Yeah, that's exactly. I when I started doing this, I didn't really have. I've done some research, but hadn't really got dug into it real deep. But I had plenty of time. I had plenty of time during the gardening stages, and it just talking to GW and his credit journey, and a couple other guys. Uh, I was thinking to myself, this is, if you set this up, do it the right way, you can literally be cycling through every 30 days. And on the business side, as long as you sweep the inquiries, you can do that every 30 days. Now, personal, you can't.
Yeah.
The new accounts will kill you.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, it's liable to start hurting you some on the business side. But I haven't encountered that yet, so I can't say.
Yeah, I think the runway is a lot longer. I don't even know if there is like a hard wall or a hard stopping point, especially if you're letting everything cycle off for 30, 60 days. And then it's like all the other junk bureaus are clearing out that data. Then what else is there? Maybe internal records start to catch up after a while. I don't know. That's an interesting case study though, to run that through and see, or experiment rather, to see where that kind of, is there any boundaries to that?
Right. Well, and if I come across anything like that, I'll be sure to share it with the community and you. But
I appreciate that.
um, really and truly, you start talking about 8 or 10 banks. You got regional banks, you got regional national banks, and you got that many credit unions, it's going to take a while to get through there. And as long as you're 6 months out, you know, that should be a new starting point, you know, just like with Truist.
Yeah. So you're cycling the banks at a 30-day rate. And then by the time, 6 months rolls around, we're now in line for CLIs. And again, as long as you can kind of start and spin this thing up big enough to keep utilization and usage low, then, you should be able to line back up every 6 months to get CLIs like clockwork.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I like this. This is a devious plan of massive success and proportions. Let's see where this thing can go. I'm excited for you for that, and for the land, obviously. Like that's insanely exciting to have opportunities like that you can actually execute on. The worst thing is knowing about stuff like that and then not having the funds or the plan or everything in between to be able to execute on it and do it properly. That sucks. I hate that.
All right, that's a wrap. I hope you've enjoyed this training. Again, listening through that, listen to it again if you need to. You're gonna piece together exactly what he's doing. And so far, we've, as I said, we've seen no bounds to this and no real limit to it. It's really just limited by how many banks that you wanna tackle with this strategy. Obviously, having the capital to deploy this means that your business has to be making money, your business profiting quite well in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And you can essentially rinse and repeat this over and over again as you see fit, as you need more access to capital to make bigger moves like what Dawg was talking about with buying land or expanding, getting more equipment, et cetera, you name it. But yeah, this is a fantastic strategy. Hopefully you guys take this and implement it. I haven't heard anyone talking about this and I think it's simply gold. So again, show us some love in the comments, share this with a friend or people that you know will benefit from it. And while you're here on the channel, watch some more videos. It's a little simple thing that goes a long way, but also too, you're gonna get the benefit of learning the common thread here that runs through this foundation that we're attempting to establish with you in this educational series of videos. We're over 400 videos deep now on the channel. So again, hopefully you guys are still getting value from here. Stick around, stay subscribed, do all the silly stuff to help the algorithms do their thing and get us some more traffic. We'll catch you in the next one. Thanks again for watching. Hey, you should subscribe. 60% of you are not subscribed yet. Right there. Okay, bye.